Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dungeon of Deadly Delights. I am Rob DiLauro, and Kelly is not with me this time around. She is actually decided to leave due to just a tough schedule for her. And we wish her well. And she's awesome. We're still friends. And go support all her stuff at Black Fawn Distribution. She does all kinds of reviews and stuff. And with that out of the way, we've actually been promoting it for quite some time now, and we finally get to do it. But I want to introduce you to not only my wife, but my new partner, Melody.
Hi. What's up?
So Melody and I are going to be doing the show from now on. The format's not going to change. We're actually going to be talking about different subgenres every 2 weeks. If you guys haven't, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to our first professional goal of 1,000 subscribers so we can be monetized. And then after that, we can do a bunch of lives and a lot of cool stuff. And we're excited to do more, maybe some reaction videos and stuff when we figure that out. But this is, kind of the hub for everything. So with that, we are actually going to honor Valentine's Day. We're actually recording on Valentine's Day night. So yes. Happy Valentine's Day to those who celebrate. And even if you don't have a significant other, it's very important to love yourself in so many ways.
And you have your friends too. You can always
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We wanted to honor Valentine's Day, and then of course the release of Lisa Frankenstein, and talk about the subgenre that we're calling "In Love with a Monster." So the subgenre basically consists of either a person, just being a monster in general, or a person actually turning into a monster. That's kind of like where we're at in terms of the conversation that we're having tonight, and that's the same thing with Lisa Frankenstein. And I do want to say this: and Melody hasn't seen the movie yet, but I can't wait till she does. Go support Lisa Frankenstein. It's really, really good. It's not this cutesy warm body thing that people are thinking it is. It's dark. It's got murder. It's really, really good. Zelda Williams, I hope she has that's Robin Williams' daughter who directed the film. I hope she has a long career. She definitely has, a scope and style like a Tim Burton or something like that. It's more, it's definitely more Heathers than it is, say, like I said, Warm Bodies or whatever. The first Deadly Delight we're going to talk about is actually Melody's pick. It's Fresh, which is available on Hulu, directed by Mimi Cave. This is a really cool movie because it does kind of like transcend different genres, before it gets into like really, really like I'd say dark comedy in a weird way. But it does, feel like a rom-com in the beginning,
like a 90s style rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's Daisy Edgar Jones, Sebastian Stan, great cast. Melody, what do you have to say about Fresh?
Should I just get into this? Okay, so in the beginning of the movie, you have this lovely young lady who is trying out the dating scene. She's swiping away, going on dates. Meeting not so wonderful guys, and she's like, I hate this. I hate dating. I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's at the grocery store, and she happens to organically meet this guy, and he's like,
and there's nothing organic about this dude.
There's nothing organic about this dude. So he ends up like, hey, just can I get your phone number? So she's like, she takes an effort attitude, like her best friend keeps telling her you need to take more chances, and she decides to go on a date with this time.
Yeah, because that's the first red flag. The guy has no social media.
None.
Yeah.
No, he has no social media at all whatsoever. I mean, we're in our 40s. We have social media. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. And then pretty much everybody does.
Exactly. Even my parents do. They're boomers.
Hello. Yeah.
So
it's a red flag.
It is.
Yeah.
So they end up on the first date. They end up going back to her place and do the deed.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, this guy ends up saying, "Hey, let's get away for the weekend," and she's like, "F it,
yeah, I'm
gonna do it."
Yep.
And he's gonna take her to this great place that she's always wanted to go to.
The unadvisement of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Especially her best friend, like. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you better tell me where you're going. And her best friend is an absolute sweetheart. You want that kind of best friend.
Yeah. I had mentioned before that, she's kind of like little Earl Howry's character in Get Out. That was the friend who was trying to find him.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the same thing where she's trying to find her friend when she disappears. And
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so they end up going on this road trip, and he's like, "Well, we're gonna go to my house first, and then because it's a long trip, and then we'll go in the morning."
Mm-hmm.
So he finally tells her in this car ride up to his house that where they're going,
Mm-hmm.
and so she immediately starts to text her friend. No signal on her phone.
Yep.
Can't get it out.
Yep.
So they go to his house. This house is amazing. It's gorgeous. She's like, wow, like, okay, I'm a little intimidated here. He makes her a drink with extra cherries because that's what she likes. And they're talking, and then all of a sudden, she passes out.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing too about it is it's kind of like Ready or Not, because like it's sort of like mentioned that even though she's married into a rich family, or she's intending to be married into a rich family, like she's the low rent one to a certain extent. So this girl is definitely the low rent one compared to this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all of the things that he has, all the trinkets and doodads and gobbledygooks, it's all sounds good.
Like an artsy kind of girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's more like on.
She's a working class girl. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, she wakes up and she's in this room.
Yep.
Chained to a bed.
Yep.
And he tells her what he's going to do to her, that he's going to sell her meat.
Mm-hmm.
And she freaks out. And of course, he's trying to present himself like that he thinks she's special and he really likes her. And he really does. Like, he's kind of weird like that. It gets really, really dark.
Mm-hmm.
You find out that there's a room next to her where there's another girl that's being sold off and over, and then room over next to that girl, there's another girl and this guy, he's like, turns out he's a doctor.
Yeah.
And he's cannibal.
Yeah.
And he's selling off these girls' body parts of their body, along with their hair, their photo, their clothes, their personal items. Yeah. And it's crazy.
He's like Christian Grey, except he's a butcher. Because let's be honest, if Christian Grey didn't have all that money and stuff, and all that crap, and he was into all that S&M shit, like he would be an absolute monster too. You know what I mean? Like, so let's talk about like the actual style of the film. I think the reason why it's works so well is, like I said, it's got two kind of different things going on. It does feel like a romantic comedy in the beginning, and then it just goes into like straight horror, like dark horror.
Yeah,
right?
This guy has no conscience. He has no soul. He doesn't care.
If you saw the title Fresh and you just had no idea what it was about, you'd have no idea that it was about a cannibal. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the way the trailer is, set up is that there's something off about this guy, but they never got into the actual.
He's a little too
meat and potatoes of the whole thing.
Too perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the whole point of the movie being called Fresh is that he likes to keep the meat fresh. Mm-hmm. So he keeps the girls alive as long as he can.
Yep. There you go. So our next Deadly Delight is one that's a little more close to home for both of us because, we're both Gen Xers. And I remember, there was a time where, Tim Burton just was he was the epitome and, just the godfather of weird. And, people like myself and Melody that were growing up and were a little dark and a little different had something to like latch onto. You know what I mean?
Goth punk scene, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But he had his own aesthetic and he just, basically, like he ruled the studios, and was able to just do whatever weird, funky thing he wanted. And that's what I really appreciate about that time in his work where he just really was able to take risks.
He had carte blanche. He could do whatever he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, one of those things was Edward Scissorhands, which, even though he's a sweet guy, or sweet creature, or whatever you want to call him, sweet creation, it's definitely, in love with a monster. It's definitely in line with this
he's a
topic.
modern day, like, Frankenstein.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So why do you love this movie so much, Edward Scissorhands? Aside from just the fact that it's so timeless and you grew up with it.
Well, I love the fact that it really is a modern day Frankenstein, and the fact that you get to see this Edward, he's the mind of a child.
Mm-hmm.
The mind of a child.
Yeah.
And
Poor Things is kind of the same thing, right?
The horror is what he goes through.
Mm-hmm.
How he's being sexualized and how he's being by all the women.
Yeah.
He's being sexualized by all the women.
Yeah.
And how he's
it's very off-putting.
Being abused.
Very innocent, yeah.
By the people that are supposed to be around his age physically. And it's just, he's just an artist.
Yeah.
He's just an artist. He comes up with these wonderful sculptures, and he's great with hair.
I think that's probably just Tim Burton's fantasies. Like, well, you know, my hair looks like it's spider webs, and I wear dark clothes, and I wish all these, you know, like older, you know, like MILF ladies would jump on me all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it feels like, you know what I mean? Like he kind of wrote that in for himself a little bit.
Possibly. Maybe.
Hey, look. No, you know, not before we, you know, nothing to sneeze at, but the dude's been with, you know, Lisa Marie and fucking Monica Bellucci and Helen Bonham Carter. He's doing okay.
Yeah,
okay,
he's doing fine.
All right. So anyway, get back to the movie. I just wanted to say that I just felt like a little bit of Tim Burton sexual fan fiction that he threw in there for himself. But go ahead.
Okay, but what I really love is the beginning sequence where, you know, you have the Vincent Price character, this was his last movie, which we had discussed this beforehand. And
beforehands.
Yeah. So Vincent Price, you know, he's creating this modern day Frankenstein, I believe to be his son.
Yes.
To take over, like,
and he's making his heart out of cookies and stuff. It's really sweet.
It is so cute. Yeah. But it's like he's creating it, and as he has created his hands, and he goes to show him his hands, he has a heart attack and dies. Yeah. So this poor guy is left alone in this mansion on the hill.
Cool thing about Vincent Price's appearance, like she said, this is his last appearance in a film, and you know, like he was, you know, kind of out of the spotlight at this point. You know, like he didn't want to do, you know, Friday the 13th movies and stuff. He just thought it was all kind of crappy, and he was just, you know, like, I don't want to say above it, but I guess kind of, you know, like he's the master of horror, you know. But yeah, you know, he got a role that, you know, like he really appreciated, and he came back for it, and you know, that means a lot for us because, of course, our son's, you know, middle name is Vincent. It's like, it feels like all the inhabitants of the suburbs are just they're more strange than Edward.
Oh my God, that whole suburb is strange. Yeah. It's like brightly colored and just very like, what, 1960s, 1950s?
Yeah, like everybody mows their lawn at the same time.
1950s, 1960s kind of feels. It's like this whole Stepford Wife kind of feeling. Yeah. Very,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the B-52s world. You know, like beehive hairdos and shit. Yeah. Well, you know, not only that, but like, you know, everybody just, you know, like it's just kind of synchronized. Everybody mows their lawn at the same time. And, you know, like it's all very, very weird and very...
kind of like a Wrinkle in Time kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of like a simulation. You know what I mean? As opposed to his, you know, castle on the hill, which is dark and, you know, like Universal style or whatever, and everything else just kind of feels fake and plastic.
Yes, you know? Yes. Like a Barbie doll kind of world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So our next Deadly Delight is actually a film that came out a couple years ago. And, you know, like this really excited me in so many ways because I was working for a major company, which is an offshoot of Entertainment Weekly at the time. And I had written an article in honor of Doug Jones, who is the you know, the guy who plays the creature, you know, and you know, of course, he was in, you know, Buffy, and he's done stuff for Hellboy and all kinds of different stuff.
And he's
just
an
like
amazing character actor, like.
For sure. But he you know, he acknowledged me for that article, and that really meant a lot to me. But you know, like that was I think that was kind of around the time that I was also interviewing Guillermo del Toro too.
I think so, yeah.
So anyway, The Shape of Water is a film that we wanted to put on the list. And again,
this is my pick.
This is not.
This is my pick.
Well, it's also something that I agree with too. It's definitely one of my favorites, and you know, it is one of those films. And a lot of these films on the list are interesting in the fact of, you know, you're incorporating a creature that's in love with somebody, but at the same time, there is, you know, even some sort of sympathy attached to it as well.
Oh yeah,
you know
totally, yeah.
Or majestic quality or something. It's not all the, you know, like constant, like, you know. Yeah. So why'd you pick The Shape of Water, Mel?
Well, first of all, it is definitely a horror story in its own. You're gonna have it's kind of like a. Was it
a fairy tale?
1950s Russia kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Very
like 50s, like 50s, early 60s kind
like
of thing.
Dirty technology, dirty like it's kind of hard to explain.
It feels very underground in the beginning.
Yeah, very underground. So you have this woman who is cleaning this government building, and she ends up going into this room and meets this river god.
Yeah.
And this costuming, this creature is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm not human at all.
And she can't speak, which is also a beautiful touch.
So they learn how to communicate and talk, and she absolutely falls in love with him. And you can tell he falls in love with her too.
Yeah. Well, he was the only one. She's the only thing that's ever nice to him. Because he's getting abused the entire time. You know what I mean? And, get tested on, and they're shocking him. And,
right. Well, these people are treating him like he's just a monster. He's like a creature, but he's a river god.
He's a river god. Yeah.
He's a river god.
Yeah.
And she breaks him out. Takes him back to her house. She puts him in the bathroom, locks up the bathroom, fills it up with water, and they have fun.
Yeah, for sure. They're splashing around.
More than splashing.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is a movie that really upped the ante when it came to amphibian fetish stuff. They were making Shape of Water dildos and whatnot.
Pretty sure other things are coming out on certain.
This is a not for kids show, by the way. I will say this about it. It's clearly it's beautifully done, but the reason I like it so much is because Guillermo del Toro, he even said in interviews he really loved the original Universal Creature from the Black Lagoon, and even as a kid he was just like, well, why aren't the beautiful young woman and this creature getting together? And he got to make his own love story where they really get to connect, and
And it's another thing where this woman is in love with this monster, but the real monsters are the men.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. The government.
The government. It's the real monsters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful because clearly the suits are the ones that are bad. The outcasts, her and her her gay friend that apparently it's horrible to be gay at that time period or whatever. All the outcasts, so to speak, are
kind of very communist.
The great people. You know what I mean? The really sweet people, the really awesome people in the movie. I love that about it too. But yeah, you said it felt very antiseptic, but then it, again, there's a dance sequence, it feels very classic Hollywood and stuff. There's all kinds of different camera angles, all kinds of different lighting.
It's very cool. It's a very stylized movie.
Yeah.
Beautifully shot, wonderfully done.
Also too, the situation with the Oscars was really great because this is not an Oscar movie as far as the Academy is concerned, and the fact that a monster kid like Guillermo from Spain could take over the Oscars the way he did with a monster film is exceptional. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but it was so beautifully done.
Oh sure.
They had to give him something. That creation, that had to be hours upon hours in the makeup chair. Yep. The patience of that actor. Seriously, he's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next Deadly Delight is another one of Melody's favorites. When Kelly and I were actually working on the show, if you guys remember, we did talk about the remake of Candyman. But we just wanted to talk about the original Candyman with Tony Todd and Virginia Madsen.
Tony Todd. Sorry, I love his voice.
Yeah, you've mentioned that. To him, actually. Yeah.
He's got a very affable voice.
Very sure. You told that to Lance Henriksen as well.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He's like, if I was 20 years younger.
Oh, shit. Okay, so Candyman. Why do you love this movie so much, Mel?
This movie, okay, listen. It is bringing... What's the word that I'm looking for?
Like a romanticism?
Well, it's not just that. It's bringing an urban legend to life.
Yeah.
So you have this absolutely stunning black man. And you set back in the days when he's a slave. Mm-hmm. He's a slave, and he falls in love with the slave master's daughter, and they copulate and have a child.
Sure.
Well, the slave master's daughter finds out, and they
copulate. Do you mean fuck? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I was trying to be good.
Okay, sorry.
guess we're not doing that. All right. Anywho, so
they smashed.
They smashed. Crashed. So anyways, he ends up being murdered in the most horrific way. I mean, we're talking bees, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so it's horrible. So the way he dies basically turns him into an evil spirit. Mm-hmm. So if you say his name 5 times, he comes to get you, and like that he wants to have you die in a painful and beautiful way to bring you into his world.
Yeah,
it's really weird because it's very seductive, but it's very brutal at the same time. And then this beautiful professor who's married to an absolute asshat.
Yeah.
Can you say that word?
Yeah, sure. She's a
asshat.
She's an urban studies. I think she's not a professor. I think she's a student.
Well, yeah, maybe.
But well, she hangs out with like the elitist guys.
She goes into this ghetto and she's looking for anything about this Candyman. Well, she finds him. And it turns out she looks exactly like, she's like the reincarnation of the woman he was in love with.
Which is, sort of like the Mina Harker Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula through line, where Mina looked exactly like his, beloved, bride that he lost.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it's like, does she get seduced? Does she not get seduced?
So even though it's set like in in like an urban area, like it does feel very kind of Victorian.
Yes, yes.
I mean, just the way the music swells in and out, his his beautiful dialogue.
Tony Todd, man, he really brought this together, man. Like
that's an honor.
Nobody,
he does that a lot.
Yeah, there's no one can ever replace Tony Todd as Candyman. I'm sorry, plain and simple.
No.
He brings this character to life.
I think that's why the remake works so well, is because like it was actually like kind of based on this hive theory where like if you're caught in some sort of trauma, then you're kind of like supernaturally linked to each other, in some sort of tragedy. You know what I mean? Which is, it kind of felt like this was kind of going in that direction. You know what I mean, with her and stuff. At the very end, but like, it's definitely seductive. It's a seductive film, and you feel just as seduced as Virginia Madsen does.
Yeah.
By just everything.
Because you kind of want to go with him.
Yeah. For
but
sure.
At the same time, it's a very painful way to go. He's brutal. He's got a hook. And but the thing. Yeah, but the thing is though, like it's so weird because it's like it's really kind of this gaslighting thing because he ruins her life. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, he totally destroyed her life. Yeah.
Destroys her life to get what he wants. So it's not like
and a lot of people die.
Take you into my arms lovingly. I'm going to, make you, like a potential murder, suspect, and you're going to go off to a mental institution.
And gonna destroy you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm gonna bring you into my world.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
You're gonna feel my pain.
When he says "be my victim," that's exactly what he means. You're a victim.
You're his victim. Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean like pain from the hook. It just means like just in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want to just like come out of this world screaming like, okay. Yeah. So our next Deadly Delight is actually it's another classic. Produced by Mel Brooks of all people, because Mel Brooks was he was a producer. He's a comedy king, but at the same time he also had this kind of edge to him, where like he'd see somebody like David Lynch. He went to see Eraserhead and was just like, "This is my guy that's going to do the Elephant Man." You know what I mean? and like he's that kind of guy. So David Cronenberg was this body horror guy from Canada, and he saw things like like Scanners and all this crazy stuff. And it was like, that's the director for the Fly, for the remake of The Fly. So Cronenberg, took reins of the movie, just ripped the script from the original spec writer and was just like, I'm going to rewrite this entire thing. And that's what he did, and made this. I mean, if you've ever seen The Fly from the 50s, like it's so much different, clearly. From the original.
Different from the original, you also had a time period where things could actually be shown on TV.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, like special effects and all that stuff, for sure. But yeah, this movie is, It's wonderful. It's got great performances.
It's so gross.
Yeah. I was about to say that. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It's a man turning into a fly. So, Melody, why did we pick The Fly?
Okay, well, I mean, this beautiful man, absolutely stunning. I'm Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum in his prime, yes.
Yeah. He was a little hottie too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. And then he's creating this the teleporting machine.
Yeah.
And he's working with his girlfriend.
He's a scientist.
And he's a scientist. He's super smart. And he's super beautiful. He's working with his girlfriend on this. And
the girlfriend's like she's an editorial journalist, so she's like
Gina Davis, right?
Yeah, it's Gina Davis.
Absolutely stunning back in the day.
And he was dating her at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
So
he
chemistry is just wonderful. Yeah.
So his dumbass decides to make a trial run while she's not around.
Actually, really smart ass, but go ahead.
And you know anything about teleportation? Your cells come apart and you come back together in another spot. Well, if Fly gets in with him.
It's like when they went on the holodeck in Star Trek. Like your particles just basically...
So, a Fly got in with him. So, he notices little things at first, which are actually great, like a sex drive and, they...
Yeah, sure.
Do the dirt.
Yeah.
And then the transformation becomes...
And he becomes stronger.
Yeah, stronger. And like any Fly, like
he's climbing walls. He's like, "This is fucking dope. This is so cool."
Until he starts
losing fingernails and earlobes and eyelids and all kinds of shit. Yeah,
he gets really gross, really gross. And he's trying really hard to hold on to his humanity.
Yeah,
up here, and the more he transforms, the worse it gets.
Well, there is a moment in the movie where he does just kind of become a Dr. Jekyll because his mind is so corroded at this point. It's like the Fly is actually talking through him.
Yeah.
He's just like, and Gina Davis is like, what the fuck is going on?
And she's trying to just help him and trying to reverse this whole thing, and it's just...
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
It's really gross.
Yeah.
The body fluids.
So he starts,
it's a lot
vomiting
of
on his
horror.
food.
It's a body horror kind of thing, and if you have issues with fluids, don't watch it.
Yeah, but you want to talk about a movie where you stand by your goddamn man?
Yeah.
Gina Davis absolutely does, until she finds out she's pregnant, and then she has a nightmare about possibly giving birth to a giant maggot. So, that's a problem. Because she doesn't know who the father is, or she does know who the father is.
But is it before or after you got into the machine? So, yeah.
Seth Brundle, you are the father.
But, I mean, this is an actual true love story. And even in the end, when, she has to take him out.
It's
and
sad.
even it's sad because even he's as you were stating, he takes his little pincer and has her put the gun to his head, because he even knows that it's time.
But that's after he regurgitates on a man's leg and it just sizzles into bone, and he's getting ready to eat it.
Body horror.
Yeah, super cool. Actually, it's the anniversary for The Fly 2, and that's a really underrated sequel. I remember when it first came out, a lot of people shit on it because, it was kind of like this sort of spiritual sequel to The Fly, involving Seth's son. But man, the effects are so good in that movie.
Yeah.
So good, yeah. That movie's 25 years old now, so happy anniversary Fly 2. Yeah. Yeah, we are getting old. That's why I keep touching my turkey neck when we're on this video.
Fix it! Body horror.
It is body horror. I mentioned the word masterpiece before, and this is the masterpiece that I was talking about. It is actually the 33rd anniversary of Silence of the Lambs today.
Yes.
It was actually released on Valentine's Day, and that's the kind of the thing that I'm going to get into when it comes to this conversation. But we are talking about Silence of the Lambs. Absolutely an amazing movie from head to foot. Everything about it is perfect. There's not one crevice or nothing that I can think of that I would go, yeah, I would do that differently.
Yeah,
It's
no, yeah,
perfect.
it's perfect.
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect.
But we wanted to talk about this film because me and Melody actually believe that this film is definitely in love with a monster story. Now, a lot of people will contest. Well, not only that, but also we believe that there is this through line with Clarice and Dr. Hannibal Lecter, where there is sort of this sort of kind of like love connection when it comes to them and just the way they feel about each other in terms of, you know, their mind, the whole cat and mouse thing. You know, I totally want to just, you know, like, I just wanted to mention this film because I definitely think it has that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, you know, when you were talking about like,
yeah,
touched her finger.
Yeah.
And how he was always saying the world is better with you in it.
Yep.
Or how he was killing off people that were rude and disrespectful to her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bro, listen, I'm telling you, I would totally be down for that.
Mm-hmm.
A man takes care of somebody who's rude or disrespectful to me.
That would be me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. No disrespect.
But yeah, you know,
my Chianti.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, it just, there is a love thing there, and I'm not saying like, you know, it's not like a romantic like let's, you know, get swept away. I know like in later books like that kind of happens, I guess, with the character, which a lot of people were just like, no. I think it's more like he's in love with her mind. I think she's absolutely, you know, he thinks she's beautiful, she's absolutely brilliant, you know. She's got the upper hand on him most times when it comes to like, you know, just the knowledge that he gives her and stuff. She figures it out on her own, you know. So everything's kind of, you know, like this back and forth, you know, quid pro quo. I'm going to give you like, you know, pieces of the puzzle and you got to figure them out. And I think because of this whole thing is, you know, there is definitely some sort of deep rooted connection between those two.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's even the whole point where the reason why it's called Silence of the Lambs, and it was because of what she had experienced as a young child.
Even though it's like he does have these romantic sentiments with her, like you know, like there is that moment that you'd mentioned where he touches her finger when he goes, you know, Clarice, you forgot your case, and then she goes back and he touches her finger, which is like, just even that like little moment is just so intense because he's not supposed to touch anybody. That dude gets his hands on anybody, he's gonna, you know what I mean? He could have easily, like a lion, just ripped her into the fucking cage. You know what I mean? Like, if he wanted to, and he didn't. He really cares about her. You know what I mean?
Nobody did take care of the soulmate next door, though.
Well, that's who he also got. You know,
flinging sperm.
Yeah, sure. But you know, as soon as she left, he was just like, you know, I'm gonna kill Officer Pembry now. I'm gonna put his face on mine. And, yeah. So so I'm just saying, you know, he had every chance if he wanted to just grip her into that cage anytime he wanted to. He just wanted to touch her finger. Hey, you know, here, you forgot your case file.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yep. And he could have went after it any time, and instead he just went off to, you know, vacation to.
Whatever. He calls her.
Yeah. Get Dr. Chilton.
Yeah.
I'm having an old friend for dinner. Yeah.
He was definitely a monster. Very intelligent. Very charming.
So that is our show, guys. Our first show together. It is Valentine's Day. I'm so happy to finally be working with my wife. I hope you know, like what we have here, because it is a little bit different in terms of format. We're just being a little more relaxed and stuff and being ourselves. And you know, we want this to feel like, you know, a family for all of you. You know what I mean? So like and comment and subscribe. It definitely helps out the channel. We'll have a new topic every 2 weeks. And then we have a podcast coming up soon. We'll mention that in, you know, the later weeks when we start that. But we'll have some great guests and great conversations with each other. And, you know, maybe have some, you know, guests talk about certain topics. And it's going to be really cool. But yeah, Melody, yeah, thank you for finally wanting to work with me. I appreciate it.
I've been wanting to do this for a while now.
Okay. Well, happy Valentine's Day, guys. Happy Valentine's, babe.
Happy Valentine's.
All right.
We love you guys.
All right. You guys have a great night and a wonderful Valentine's Day, and we'll scare you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.